So how are European powers responding to the US airstrikes? How much unity is there amongst EU leaders at this point, Ollie?
Yeah. So listen, Tom, over the last week, we've heard a lot from European leaders, and generally speaking, the sort of message has been, and the message over the last 24 hours is de-escalate. Diplomacy has got to be the way forward. This is not going to end through military action. This needs to end basically through diplomacy. You know, we had that sort of message made in very different ways from a number of different leaders across Europe. But overall, until this weekend, you know, there was broadly support for the Israeli strikes for Iran. You are now getting a little bit of sort of reticence, it seems, from some of the statements we're hearing from some of the leaders. Overall, again, the main message has been Iran should never be permitted to get a nuclear weapon. That has been the sort of takeaway here. But we heard from Ursula von der Leyen, who came out after the strikes, saying, I'm just going to pull it up here, that Iran, again, must never be able to acquire a nuclear bomb. With tensions in the Middle East at a new peak, stability must become the priority. And here is a sort of line that is a sort of tacit criticism, potentially, of the United States' action. She said, and respect for international law is critical. This brings into the debate the question about whether this was a preemptive strike or a preventative strike. And the difference between the two is one being a sort of imminent danger that is a preemptive strike that would, allow the United States basically to strike within Iran. The other one is a sort of preventative strike, which is a much more abstract, longer-term sort of concept of what the sort of threat that Iran was proposing. And that is some of the concern that you hear from the international community and certainly domestically from the United States. But overall, Tom, we're here in The Hague. Trump is supposed to arrive here tomorrow to have discussions around NATO, that 5% defense target that NATO allies are likely to sign up to. And the last thing that the Europeans want to do is to alienate Donald Trump at a key moment, not only for Ukraine, but also in the middle of a trade war. And, of course, all those American troops that still reside within Europe as a deterrent force, they don't want Trump to pull them out.
Ollie, fold this into the NATO summit then, and how it changes the discussions, the focus, the priorities, as you and the team and other members of NATO, of course, look ahead to that visit by President Trump.
Yeah, the conversation here is going to be about basically how this bears on Europe, right? I think that one of the main focuses that you have here, there is the idea that, you know, if Iran is extremely weakened, it will also sort of weaken Russia because many of the sort of drones are going over there. But I think more importantly, it's going to distract American attention. America already wanted to move a lot of its resources over to the Pacific. Now, if it is embroiled in the Middle East, that is going to mean more focus there. That means less and less support for Europe. That means Europe going about it alone, which has really been the sort of message from the Trump administration since the very beginning.